Hey everyone, BigV75 here, aka Vince Salerno, doing a movie review today. Today I will be reviewing the film Risen, the Christian action drama film, released February 19th, 2016, directed by Kevin Reynolds. The synopsis reads as, the first 40 days after the resurrection of Jesus Christ is told through the eyes of an agnostic Roman centurion charged by Pontius Pilate to investigate rumors of a risen Jewish Messiah and locate the missing deceased body of Jesus of Nazareth in order to subdue an imminent uprising in Jerusalem. During the centurion's mission, his doubts of such a supernatural occurrence peel away as he encounters the apostles and other historic biblical characters and bears witness to the legendary storied events that followed the resurrection. A great mystery unfolds during the centurion's quest to find the body, and he is deeply affected by his first-person investigation, as his previous beliefs on the matter are forever altered based on what he now witnessed. As stated before, the film is directed by Kevin Reynolds and is rated PG-13 for biblical violence, including some disturbing images. Now, while I was watching the film, I made a list of things that I liked and things that I didn't like. First, I will go through that list, and then I will give my overall thoughts and rating on the film. So, things that I liked about the film. First off, this is I think, a fairly big improvement on Christian films. Not a big one, but definitely bigger than the likes of God's Not Dead, or Fireproof, or Courageous, or Facing the Giants. Those films still have their good qualities, in my humble opinion, but still lack reality, basically. I'm not going to go into detail on that. But what I liked about this film specifically was that it was a different take on the Jesus story. Now, we've seen a lot, and I mean a lot, of films that tackle the Jesus story, and they're all more or less the same film, with different styles and different actors and different directors, of course, all of which are great films. But this one is the first one to tackle an after-the-cross story. The film begins with the crucifixion. The film begins with the crucifixion, and then continues on to the 40 days after Jesus was resurrected. Which was something I've been waiting for filmmakers to tackle, Christian filmmakers specifically. This is a lot more compelling, I think, than recent films like The Son of God, or even the most recent Jesus adaptation, Killing Jesus, based on Bill O'Reilly's book. Killing Jesus adds nothing new to the Jesus story. It's basically the same thing, with, I don't know, just not very compelling at all. And The Son of God, I never saw that film, but I assumed it was just basically a rehashing of what happened in the Bible miniseries that played on history. But this, I think, is the first film in a long time since The Passion to change the game, I think, for the Jesus story. So what happens next with the Jesus story after this film, we'll find out. Joseph Fiennes, who most of you probably know from the film Luther, where he played Martin Luther. He's a great leading man. He does a great job at carrying this film, even though his performance is a little weak. I'll get into that a little later. Tom Felton, who also was in this film, if you know that name, you probably recognize him from the Harry Potter films. He's a great standout, and it's really easy to recognize him as his character in the film, not as Malfoy from Harry Potter. So I think he's a terrific actor, and it looks like he's got a great career ahead of himself. Another thing I liked about the film was the relationship between Simon Peter and Clavius. Clavius is Joseph Fiennes' character. It seems like both of them being sinners or betrayers of Jesus, specifically Simon Peter, when he denied Jesus 3 times. I think they both relate in a way, because Clavius sees that Simon Peter understands that Jesus forgives, even in the gravest and deepest of sin, he forgives. And I think it's that witness that inspires Clavius to feel the same and believe what they believe. It causes him to believe that Jesus is the Messiah and the Son of God. There's a great line for Joseph Fiennes' character where he wants, when it talks about what he wants peace and a day without death. I thought that was a powerful line. Like, a guy like that who doesn't believe in a peacemaker wants peace and a day without death. With Jesus, he will he will have peace and a day without death. He'll have many days without death. It's kind of a cool little contradiction that kind of pays off in the end. It's kind of a setup and a payoff, if you will, which was done very well, I think. Now I'm going to get into some of the bad. Now, while I said this is a big improvement on Christian films, it's not without its flaws, because this is a Christian film and it still has some minor quips. But actually, now that I look at it, this is not actually to do with the Christian film being a Christian film. It's more filmmakers' things. Things not really wrong with it being a Christian film, but just things wrong with the film in general. But we'll see. We'll get into it. I don't remember what I wrote down, so we'll find out. First off, I said Joseph Fiennes was a great leading man in the movie. His acting is okay. It's just okay. I mean, he looks the part and his dialogue is well written, but his performance is bland and almost uninspired. He hardly speaks above a whisper, and I hate to say it, but he almost looks like he doesn't want to be in the movie. I'm pretty sure he wants to be in the movie, because no actor just says no to a movie they don't want to be in, unless they're just cashing it in for a paycheck. But, I mean, he looks somewhat invested, but at the same time not invested at all. He wasn't terrible. He was good, just not great. I wasn't a huge fan of Cliff Curtis as Jesus. Cliff Curtis is a great actor. If you know him, you probably recognize him from The Walking Dead, or Fear the Walking Dead, the TV spin-off from the TV show The Walking Dead. Anyways, Cliff Curtis, great actor, but it was very jarring to see him play Jesus, or Yeshua as they call him in the film. It took me out of it, actually, when I saw him. It was just like, oh, that's Cliff Curtis. It didn't look like Jesus. And I think it takes a specific look to play Jesus. And with all due respect to Cliff Curtis, I don't think he fits the bill. I didn't like the portrayal of the crucifixion. We've seen pictures of Jesus with his eyes open during the crucifixion, but he's looking up to heaven, I believe, in those pictures. He's not looking down with his eyes opened. In this movie, it's the first time I've seen where his eyes are open when he's dead, and he's looking down. And some part of me felt it was a little disrespectful. But at the same time, I understand, because they wanted to I think they were trying to get this, like, Clavius looks into the eyes of Jesus, and then he recognizes those eyes when he sees him alive later on in the movie. So I get it, but it was weird. If you want to do a accurate depiction of Christ, I think he should have had his eyes closed. But I understand why they did it, because it's kind of a setup and a payoff. So I understand, but I just wasn't a huge fan of it. There's a scene in the movie where the disciples go fishing. And these boats, they're just at a beach, and the boats are just there. It's like, where did the boats come from? Are their boats just, like, lying around for the sake of being there, for the sake of fishermen that want to fish? Maybe that's so. I don't really know much about that, but it sounded a little weird that the boats were just there. I didn't understand it. The film is kind of slow, I think, in some parts at least. There's like a 5 to 10 minute interrogation scene where Clavius is interrogating one of the two guards that was supposed to watch Jesus' tomb before the resurrection. It feels like it drags on for like 10 minutes. Like, I dozed off at that part, so it felt like 10 minutes, but maybe it was just 5 or 2 minutes, but it felt too long. And I don't know, I just like, can we please get on with this? I don't care. Get to the point. And some parts also move too fast. Like, when Clavius is with Jesus and the 12 disciples, I feel like we should have had at least an additional 10 to 15 minutes with the disciples. Maybe a little more of them struggling to hide from the Romans. There was that one part where Tom Felton's character comes face to face with Clavius after he decides to follow the disciples. But that's it. It's like, oh my gosh, there has to be more. There has to be more. I wish there were more stakes at risk for Clavius following the disciples. They should have been, furiously hunting down Clavius. But no, nothing. With that being said, kind of a weak ending. First off with Pilate. Pilate, Tom Felton's character, comes to Pilate and tells him that they couldn't find Clavius. And what does Pontius Pilate say? He shrugs his shoulders and says, oh, I guess we'll never see him again. It's like, no, you should be angry. You should be pissed. the body of Jesus is gone. Your right-hand man has betrayed you and is gone. The emperor's coming to inspect everything, and you're gonna get in big trouble. You should be angry and scared. And he's not. It just wasn't a realistic ending. It's like, it was kind of lazy writing, I think. Was not a fan of that at all. And then there's the ending with Clavius, where the whole film is him professing his story to just some guy in a house. And it ends with him saying, "I believe and I will never be the same," which is a great line, but then he just walks off. It's like, I would have liked to have known what Clavius's plan is. Is he going to go join the apostles and then profess the word of God, or is he just going to go off by himself and being professing the word of God by himself? I think it would have been a much better ending if he went with the apostles, but he didn't. So just not a great ending, I think. Very weak. So that's my list of good and bad. Overall, I think this film was good. It was very good. Not great, not fantastic. It's definitely not a Passion of the Christ, if you will. But it's good. And it's a different take on the Jesus story that I've been waiting to see done for a long time. The after the cross story. The 40 days Jesus is alive and walking among us after the resurrection. Yes, the ending doesn't pay off very well. Not very satisfying. Yes, some of the performances are weak and sort of cashed in. Yes, the casting is sometimes odd, but the film overall is a good film. It's a vast improvement on Christian films. Great story that holds its own from beginning to end and never falls apart, never seems to be cheesy or unrealistic or uninspired. It seems like they had a goal. Everybody stuck with that goal and they accomplished it. So hats off to all you guys for all the filmmakers and film actors and everybody who was a part of this film. Hats off to all of you for achieving this great Christian film. Every film is not without its flaws, and hopefully you guys don't sit on it too much. Hopefully you get back up on the horse and try again and keep getting better. So rating-wise, I'm going to give this film a 3 out of 5 stars. It was good, but nothing really special. And then as out of 10 rating, I'm going to go with a 5 out of 10. If you want to watch a movie and leave the theater with a feeling that is neither hatred or praise, okay, but nothing special. So there you go. So thank you all for watching, or listening, I guess, to my review of the movie Risen. If you're interested at all in this film, I recommend you go see it. If not, you'll be okay. If you want to hear more reviews, just let me know in the comments. Feel free to comment about anything. What do you think about the movie? Just let me know down there. Give this video a thumbs up if you want. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out my trailer reaction videos and my short film videos, as well as more reviews coming very soon. Thank you all for watching. God bless, and peace out.